Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. This is Brother Ezra, and this is my channel, Rise of Israel. Lord willing, this could be edifying. But before I say anything, I would like to call Allah, which means to give all praise to Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, by Hashem, which means in the name of the Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ in the Paleo Hebrew. All right? So I would like to go through, who are the Israelites according to the Bible, and who would they be right now? All right. So I like to start off, to get a verse to start everything off. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 4 and 24. So I can, all right, here we go. This is the book of John, chapter 4 and 24, and it says this: God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So when we worship the Lord, we got to worship him in spirit and in truth over all things. All right. But again, let's go over, who the Israelites are today. At first, I'll clear up some confusion. Um, a lot of people go around, they talk about Christ, you know what I'm saying, and there's a lot of images out here, about him, that he's, a so-called white man, with long brown hair, blue eyes, or blonde hair, whatever it is. And I'm gonna be real, that's not in the Bible. That's not biblical. It doesn't say he looks like that. It doesn't say, oh, he does, his color doesn't matter. No, his color's in the Bible, and it's actually shown throughout the Bible. All right. So let's go to Revelations 1:1. All right. So this is the book of Revelations, chapter 1, verse 1. It says this: the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to shew unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. So this is the revelation of Jesus Christ, the revealing of Jesus Christ. Let's see what it's going to reveal. So let's just go to verse 11. All right. Saying, I am the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what thou seest write in the book. Now, when you see something in red letters, this is Christ speaking. So whenever you see red letters in the Bible, it's Christ speaking. And this is what the Lord is saying to John. I actually jumped to verse 10. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as a trumpet, saying, and then as you see, it's in red letters, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what thou seest write in a book. So the Lord is telling him, I'm the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what you see, write in a book, because the Lord was behind him. So he said, whatever you see, write in the book. All right. So let's go to jump to verse 12. But again, the Lord knew that a bunch of people would, say that he looked like somebody else, or would try to paint the image, of his face and say that he was a so-called white man and not, a darker complected fellow. So let's actually go to that in Job chapter 9 and 24, because this is what the wicked does. It's the book of Job chapter 9, verse 24. All right. And it says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So whoever is in rulership right now, whoever seemingly has the earth in their hands is what, the Lord will call the wicked. Right? He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So the Lord already, the Lord's giving you hints. The wicked is the one that paints the face of the judges. Who are the judges? The judges are the Israelites. Christ is going to come back, to bring judgment on the earth. So he's one of our judges. Yahweh, who the word even calls God, is our judge. Christ is also our judge as well, and also the Israelites are the judges. So he covered the faces of the judges thereof. All right? And that's why Christ is going, that's why Christ says these things. I'm actually gonna give you another account. Uh, I'm just gonna change this. All right, and I'm gonna go to the book of First Maccabees, chapter 3 and 48. All right, I'm gonna go to 47. All right, this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 3 and 47. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes and laid open the book of the law wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. Now this is First Maccabees. This is during the Maccabean, revolt. This is, during the Greek captivity. So a lot of what the Grecians would do, they would, they would, try to paint their images, their likeness of their images in the Bible. And it's something that's been happening throughout history. So this is something that constantly happens. And I'll also give you that account in Ecclesiastes. Let me just go back to the regular KJV. But you kind of get the point here that, people that's why Christ, went out to, he wanted his face to be shown. So let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and let's see. I've seen the Lord's I'm getting my heart appreciative. All right. Okay, here we go. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. Verse 10. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath already been of old time, which was before. All right. So again, everybody, this is talking about everything is going on a continual cycle. Things that happened before is happening again now. So people painting, the likenesses of their images in the Bible, changing the face of the judges thereof, that's something that's constantly been happening. So when you see, white Jesus, that's not biblical. That's just really just prophecy, showing that people are gonna, try to change the image of Christ in the Bible, and he knew that people would do that. That's why he said, in what thou seest, write in the book. All right. So let's jump to verse 12. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw seven golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, this is Christ, clothed with a garment down to the foot. So Christ had on a long garment down to his foot, and girt about the paps with the golden girdle. So the Lord had like a golden girdle, like a WWE belt. You know what I'm saying? So people couldn't really get him. You know what I'm saying? People couldn't they'll stick him. It's like today's equivalent is like a bulletproof vest or something, because Christ was the wanted man, and a lot of people was really out to kill him. All right, and we can go to verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool. So wool is not a color. Wool is a texture. All right, you have dark. You have different color sheep. You know what I'm saying? But his head and his hairs were white like wool. So he had white woolly hair. There's only one specific people on earth that have woolly hair. The so-called white Jesus, whose real name is Caesar Borgia, he doesn't have white woolly hair. His hair isn't even white, right? As white as snow. And we also know that white wool and white snow are two completely different colors, two completely different shades of white. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. So he had red eyes. White, the white. Let's just look up. Let's just go to Google. And let's see if we can get an account and see what it says. All right. I mean, it, none of these men have white woolly hair or red eyes. There's no account. None of them look like that. Definitely not this one right here. And this is the one, it's in everybody's bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So, the description isn't matching. So let's go back. And when it says he has, eyes were as a flame of fire, he had red eyes. And he had eyes because he drank wine in moderation. You know what I'm saying? When a man, drinks wine, his eyes, the white of his eyes may turn red. You know what I'm saying? So that's usually how that goes. So let's go to Genesis 49 and 12. There we go. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and 12. And this is, a prophecy about Christ. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. So the Lord was prophesied to have red eyes since, the beginning. And so Christ, he had red eyes, he had eyes red with wine. So that's why, the red of his eyes were like, a fire. All right. So let's go back. Again, he doesn't have white woolly hair. He doesn't have white hair. He doesn't have woolly hair, and his eyes are not red. His eyes were blue. All right. Let's keep going. And his feet. Now, before I get to this, your feet is the same color as the rest of your body. And as we saw before, and we read before, he had a long garment down to his foot. All right. So let's keep going. And his feet like unto fine brass. Now, the word for brass in the definition in the Hebrew is like pretty much like a copper. You know what I'm saying, which is the same color as a penny. So he was a dark brother just off that. Let's keep reading and see how dark he actually was. As if they burned in a furnace. So Christ, he was so dark it looked like he burned in a furnace. So that picture of Caesar Borgia that they try to paint out as the image of Christ is completely false. And as I said before, from John 4 and 24, if anybody was to say, oh, it doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying, he came to save her, that's completely false because it says you worship the Lord in spirit and in truth. So this does matter if you want to worship the Lord in spirit and in truth. So his feet were like unto fine brass as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice has a sound of many words. He was a very austere and strong individual. He had a very loud voice. All right. And here's a precept to it. The precept to this is in Daniel 10 and where do I want to start at? Hmm. 10 and 5. All right. So this is the book of Daniel, chapter 10 and 5. And it says, then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. Again, this is describing, his build, his garments, what he's wearing. His body was like the beryl, and his face was the appearance of lightning. All right. Again, the face, the appearance of lightning. This is going into his wisdom that showed you know in his faith. Because he was he came with like a lot of wisdom. It also if you can actually see that account in the book of Exodus with Moses. They had to cover his face. They had to put a cloak over his head because his face was shown after he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. You know what I'm saying? So we can actually keep going. Um, Actually, we can go to that account real quick to show that. This is Exodus chapter 34 and 28. All right, this book Exodus chapter 24 and 34 and 28. Fuck it. And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the Ten Commandments. So, Moses up there, getting the commandments of the Lord from the Lord. And it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the two tables of testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he walked with him, while he talked with him. All right. So, the Lord, Moses didn't know that his face was shining. And Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses. Behold, the skin of his face shone. They were afraid to come nigh him. And Moses talked with them unto them. And Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him. And Moses talked with them. And afterward all the children of Israel came nigh. And he gave them in commandment all the word of the Lord had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. So, his face was shining. I wouldn't even know what that looks like, but his face shone, and everybody was absolutely petrified by it. They were afraid. All right, so we can go back to Daniel 10. All right, so book of Daniel chapter 10 and 6. Okay, his body was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire. Again, it's the same words from Revelations 1. It says his eyes were lamps of fire. It's the fiery eyes that he had, red with wine. And his arms and his feet like in color. So his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass. And in the ancient days, when you would polish brass, the same thing. As in ancient days, when you would polish brass, you would burn it in the furnace. These are the same accounts. So polished brass is the same as brass as if it burns in the furnace. And what's the next one say? And the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. So Christ was a so-called black man. If he'd have walked around, he'd have looked like one of us. He had white woolly hair, and he had very, very, very dark skin, and he had a loud voice, an austere man. He'd be called a mad black man if he walked around today in America, and he would hate it here. Now, Christ had a people that he dealt with. Christ was an Israelite, so not only was he, the one of the most, the most important figures, the most important figure to ever walk this earth, but he has a people that he belongs to. He's an Israelite. A lot of people will call him a Jew. All right. So let's go to the Hebrews and let's get that account. There's multiple accounts, but I like this one. So look at Hebrews chapter 7 and 14. It says this: For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. So the Lord came out of Judah. He's a Judite, right? And they even said that Judah is a tribe. So again, a lot of people know the Jews that live in Israel, the land of Israel, and they call themselves Jewish. They're Jewish, men. If someone calls me childish, are they calling me a child? Of course not. They're calling me childish based off the actions. Because I'm a grown man, I couldn't be a child. But by my actions, by the things that I do, I'm being considered, partaking and doing the actions of a child or that a child would. So I become childish. The same reason why you have shows like Grownish. The theme of the show is about kids growing up and becoming grown. You got shows like Blackish. Same thing. The theme of it is not feeling quite black, but you're kind of, what I'm saying? It's the same thing. So when you call somebody, Jewish, it's saying you're not quite a Jew, but you pertain to it. Because ish is a suffix meaning not quite but pertaining to. So you call somebody Jewish, you say, well, you're not really a Jew, but you follow everything that they do, so you would be considered Jewish. Again, say somebody, they study Judaism, Again, they're not an Israelite, they're not a Jew. This is a whole nationality. Judaism. Ism meaning the study of Judaism, Judah, the Israelites. All right. So the Lord had his own people. He's not some, some man that just doesn't have a people that just walked on the earth. No, he came out of somebody's loins. He came out of, a man's loins into a woman, out the woman. So he was a Judite. He's an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. All right. So let's go to Matthew. Let's go through that account real quick. Matthew chapter 1 and verse 18. Is this for 19? Is it? Mm-hmm. Flock here. I'm tripping. All right, here we go. This is Matthew chapter 1 and 21. It says, and she shall bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew, in Paleo Hebrew. For he shall save his people from their sins. So his people that were sinning are the Israelites. Those are his people. All right. So let's go to chapter 2 and again another precept on that. We can get these two. All right. So this is the book of Matthew, chapter 2 and verse 5. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judah, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least among the princes of Judah, because Bethlehem is very poor. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Christ is coming to save his people Israel. He came to save his people Israel. Those are his people. Those are who he comes. Those are that's who he comes from. He sprang out of Judah. Judah's a tribe. All right. So let's actually let's actually go to that account. Actually, I might as well just stay in Matthew real quick because not only did he come from Judah, not only did he come from the seed of Israel, but he came for Israel. All right, so let's go. Let's read Matthew chapter 15, 24. And it says this, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Again, plain and simple. The Lord only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Those are his people. He came to save his people. Those are his people. All right, so let's go to where his people started out at. Maybe not where they started out, but one of the first accounts of them being oppressed, one of the key factors of them really becoming the Lord's chosen nation. All right, so let's go to Exodus 101. It says this. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Okay. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher, and all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already. So these are the Israelites, and Joseph had Ephraim and Manasseh. So these are the Israelites. These are the Israelites in the Bible. These are all the tribes of Israel. All right. So this is really the account of them being brought into Egypt. Let's see what happened when they were in Egypt. Let's go to verse 13. Uh, hmm. Let's uh let's go to 13. All right, here we go. So, This is Exodus chapter 113. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. You serve with rigor means you serve with complete strictness in hard conditions. All right. Verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. Sound familiar? They made their lives bitter with hard bondage. In mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. This sounds completely familiar to a couple groups of people. All their service when they made them serve was with rigor. So pretty much the Israelites were in Egypt. They were put to work. They were slaves in Egypt. So the Israelites were in Egypt. They were slaves, and this is not no easy type of bondage. This is hard bondage. And mind you, these are dark people. These aren't white people getting oppressed by Hamites in one of the hottest places on earth. So that's another point. But let's go to Exodus chapter 3 and 6. Mhm. And we're gonna go. Let's go into the account of Moses, and pretty much one in what happened into that. I want to start here. Okay. So let's go to Exodus chapter 3 and 2. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in the flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will not turn aside and see the great sight, why the bush is not burnt. I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. All right, so the Lord is speaking with Moses right now. All right, so let's see what he says in verse 6. So this is Exodus 3 and 6. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. So the Lord just said he's the God of Israel, the Israelites, through the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. So let's keep going. Verse 7. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. So the Lord knew what was going on. The Lord saw that they cried out to God because they were in bondage and they were in slavery. This is again, there's no new thing under the sun. This thing keeps happening. All right, so let's keep going. Let's jump to verse 9. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherein the Egyptians oppressed them, because these people are being oppressed. It's hearkening to the fact that these people are being oppressed in Egypt. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, and thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. The Lord calls us his people, the Israelites his people. We are his people, the Lord's people. All right. So now, since we know what they were doing in Egypt and how the Lord became, shown to these people, you know, let's see, you know, what goes on, once they, get brought out of Egypt. What the Lord says to them, because pretty much the Israelites, they were brought out of land of Egypt. You can go through the whole story, read the rest of Exodus. You know, all the things that happen. But the main thing is to go through an important thing, and these are the curses. So after Moses brought them out, and they were taken out of Egypt, you know, Moses spoke to these people, gave them the commandments, told them all these things. What happened to you if you do it, you'll be the most blessed people. All right, but let's go into the curses. So All right, here we go. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So the Lord is telling you that he's going to bring you, that he's going to bring upon you all these curses if you don't follow these commandments. So these people that were given these laws, statutes, commandments, they had to follow them. The commandments were not given to every nation in the world. There's no account of that ever happening in the Bible. It was only given to the Israelites. And he told them if they don't hearken into these commandments, that they're going to be they got to go through all these curses. Let's go to the first curse. Right? First curse is Deuteronomy chapter 20 and 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Now, if the Lord says he's going to curse these people in the city, and you were to go out and look out in all these major cities, you got L.A., Hollywood, Philly, Atlanta, Baltimore, Brooklyn, Queens, all these places, all these these inner city places. Who are the most cursed city people in the cities? The most cursed people in this country are the so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics. We are the bottom of the barrel people here. You go into these ghettos and these slums, you have the poorest people are the indigenous people of this country and the people that are brought over here through the transatlantic slave trade. So it says you're going to be cursed in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. So who was cursed in the field? The sugar cane plantations, the coffee fields, the tobacco fields, the cotton fields. So we've been constantly oppressed in the field. This doesn't fit the so-called white man. This is just one of the curses we're gonna go through. All right, let's go. What am I feeling? All right, let's go to verse 32. Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given into another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. So the Lord told you that if you don't hearken to these commandments, your sons and your daughters are going to go into slavery, and you can't do nothing about it. Your sons and your daughters are going to be given to another nation of people, and you won't be able to do anything about it. All right, let's go to verse 36. The Lord shall bring unto thee in thy king, which thou shalt set over you. So you and whoever is ruling over you, that of your nation, is going to bring you unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. So you and your people are going to be brought to a nation where you or your ancestors have never known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. So the so-called the blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics were they were brought to many places and had to worship different gods. I'm sure about 9 out of 10 Native Americans cannot tell you what they worshiped before the conquistadors got here. The Spanish can do the same either. The same with the so-called blacks. We we, we don't know. All we know is Jesus Cristo, Jesus Christ, Catholicism, and being a Baptist. All right, so it says we're going to serve other gods, wood and stone. What's wood? The cross is wood. And it's an image that our people pray to all the time. And what stone? The Kaaba stone. Islam. You got Christianity, you got Islam right here. Millions of people have kissed the Kaaba stone. And how many so-called African Americans have been doing it? Our people They love Islam. All right. So that's something that the Lord's not dealing with. All right. So let's read the next verse. And thou shalt become an astonishment. So when you're gonna become an astonishment among all people. If people look at you, they're gonna be astonished at you. Why? What's an astonishment? When they see you in the streets killing each other, when your women are the only women in the, shaking their what in the street, half naked, promoting their body all the time, doing so many things. And astonishment don't necessarily gotta be a bad thing either. They're astonished at us when we play basketball and football. We're in astonishment. A proverb, a proverb is like a witty saying. You know what I'm saying? A quick witty saying. You got the book of Proverbs that has a bunch of witty sayings. You know what I'm saying? So a proverb is in a lot of cases, modern cases, a proverb would be more like a stereotype. Like if you want to hide something from niggas, you put it in a book. Why? Because what? Our people don't like to read, right? That's one of them. All black people love watermelon. All black people love fried chicken. You know what I'm saying? Native Americans, they hate litter. You know what I'm saying? Just a bunch of different proverbs. These are things that you put on people. Stereotypes. All right? And a byword is uh, an identifying factor that you put notoriously on a people. And that's how you define who that people is. That's the definition, what a byword would be. So a byword, for example, would be like nigga, spick, Hispanic, Native American, African American, black. These are all Jamaican. Jamaican, that means of wood and water. You know what I'm saying? Puerto Rican. All Puerto Rican means is rich port. And these weren't even names that our people came up with. African American. How can you be from two different continents at once? A so-called black man named after two white men, Leo Scipio's Africanos and Amerigo Vespucci. And again, black is just a color in the crayon box. Nobody's really black. And if you want to go along with that logic, you got the so-called East Indians that are that are darker than us. They don't call each other black. Every nation besides the so-called white nation are darker complected people originally. They all have some way, shape, or form. They have melanin and darker skin melanin, but don't none of them call themselves brown or black. But we do. Why? Because that's a byword. All right. So we are going to become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. Let's keep reading. Among all nations, where the Lord shall send me. So not only are you just going to become this, you're going to become this where the Lord sends you. So the Lord just said He's going to send us into a nation neither our fathers, nor the us nor our fathers have ever known, and there we're going to become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. Let's keep going. Verse 41, Deuteronomy chapter 20 and 41. It says this: Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. So the sons and daughters that we beget, that we have, are going to go into slavery. That's what captivity means. Slavery. This is another curse that's going to be put on them. As a whole, no other nation can fit these curses but one group of people. This isn't really, how could this be talking about any other nation of people? Everyone keep going. Um, all right, let's go to verse 48. Deuteronomy chapter 20 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. So the Lord is going to you're going to have to serve your enemies, and they're going to send against you in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness. So if you're hungry, you got to go to them. Meaning anything that you want to eat, McDonald's. We don't own McDonald's. We don't own Church's Chicken. We don't own Chick-fil-A. We don't own Pan Express. We don't own Hello Guys, but we eat from there constantly. And any places we may own, like any soul food spots, where do we get the food from? We get them, from butcher shops, other places, from other nations. We don't have anything. So it says we're gonna come to them in hunger and in thirst. If you want anything to drink, you have to go to your enemy to get it. You got Dasani water, you got Deer Park water. We don't own that. We don't own them. You got all types. You got Gatorade. We don't own them. Powerade. We don't own Powerade. You know, we talk about it. We don't own anything. We don't own anything, even to drink. Nothing. Even the water system. You go to your faucet. You grab water out of there, man. That comes from the water system that you don't own. Your enemy controls that water system. You don't know what they put in that water. All right, let's keep going. And in nakedness. Now I know our people don't own Nike. Our people don't own Nike. We don't own Adidas. We don't own Under Armour. We don't own Gucci. We don't own Versace. We don't own none of these things. Now, yeah, some may say, "Oh, we got Jordan." But where does Jordan get the fabric? He literally Jordan's owned by Nike. And where does Jordan get his fabric? Where does he get everything? Everything he gets it from his enemies. So we don't own nothing. And it says we're gonna go to them in one of all things. If you wanna travel, if you wanna leave the country, you have to get a passport. You have to pay for a passport to leave the country. But we're free. That's the most confusing thing. We're free, but we have to get a whole passport to leave the country. If you want to move, you want to learn how to drive and stuff like that, you gotta get a driver's license. You have to go to your enemy for everything. You have to go to your enemy to be born. You have to get a birth certificate. Even if you want to die, you gotta get a death certificate. You literally go to your enemy in one of all things. You want to learn, you want to get education, you gotta go to the school system. You have to learn the way they want you. You have to learn about Alexander the Great, the Boston Tea Party, and that your history begins at you getting off of slave ships. They don't tell you nothing other than that. All right. So in one of all things, keep reading. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. You know, the Lord said your enemy is going to put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he destroyed you. Now, let's be practical. Let's look at a dog when you're training a dog. If you really want your dog to listen to you, what do you put a collar on them? A lot of people have a shock collar. You know, whenever a dog goes past a certain point, it shocks him so he'll learn. But after a while, after your dog gets shocked, yanked, long enough, you know, you don't even need it anymore. You don't even have a collar on him anymore. He won't get off. He won't leave your front yard. These are multiple occasions. So that's the same thing they did to us. They put a yoke of iron upon our neck until we were destroyed. Just like that dog is destroyed, we were destroyed until they have destroyed thee. All right. Let's keep going. Let's read on down. Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar. So the Lord is going to bring a nation, not just one person, a whole nation against thee from a far place, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Did our Native American and Hispanic people, did they understand Spanish when they got here? Before the conquistadors got there? Absolutely not. Did we understand English before they came on the west coast of Africa? to take us into to bring us to America and throughout all places in England and France and stuff. Did we speak French? Did we speak Portuguese? Did we speak any of these languages? Absolutely not. So the Lord shall send a nation against you from the end of the earth, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flies, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, meaning this nation is wicked. They're fierce, who shall not regard the person old, nor shew favor to the young. So this nation ain't gonna care about your old women or your old men, which it counts, in slavery. Our old women and men were just getting done abominably, but they won't nor shew favor to the young. You got gator bait, you got hit the nigger baby. These people don't care about the old or the young. They'll shoot you in the street. They don't care. So Lord said He's going to send them against you, and He's not going to show favor to the old nor to the young. All right. So these are just small curses that the Lord is going to, that the Lord is going to put uh, onto us for. I'm gonna get to the point. So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 54, chapter 28 and 54. And it says, this is another curse, an important curse. All right. It says this, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children. So pretty much, you know, your brother that's tender among you that's very delicate to you, his eye is going to be evil towards you. Mind you, these things are going to be a sign for us. So the man, that is tender among you is going to have an evil eye towards you. What does that sound like? Sounds like, black on black crime, hating each other, killing each other in the streets for no reason. This is again, a proverb and a byword. Nation looks, oh, all they do is kill each other. Is kill each other. That's a curse. It's a curse to want to kill somebody who looks like you. You can walk down the street and step on another black man's shoe, and he will kill you for that. But a white man could come into his neighborhood, shoot his little brother, and he'll say he forgives him on live TV later. So it's the same thing all over again. But we were so quick to kill each other and hate each other. All throughout history, we've done that. All right? And let's keep reading. And toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. So not only is he going to hate his brother and want to kill his brother, he's going to have an evil eye towards his own wife and toward his children, and he's going to leave them. These are all curses that have to happen to the children of Israel. What does this look like? Single parent homes. So the man getting tired of his wife and dipping out, going out to get milk, never coming back. Or a man getting locked up and leaving his wife and his kids alone, to fend for themselves. So these are all things that the Israelites are going to have to go through. It's unfortunate, but let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 66. All right, it says this: "In thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall not have none assurance of thy life." When we go out in the streets, so-called black people break experience, we don't know what's at stake for our life. We don't know. We have no clue. We can get killed by our own brothers, or we can get killed by the white man, by the white cop that want to kill us. So we have no assurance of life at all, whatsoever. In the morning thou shalt say, would God it be evening. So in the morning you're going to say, damn, I wish it was nighttime, man. And at evening thou shalt say, would God it be morning. So even at night you're like, dang, I wish it was morning, man. Because that's the type of hell we live in. How much more in slavery? Or when them conquistadors came over and raped our men in front of their families. as an example of, you better get in check. That is traumatic. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see. So everything you see, bro, it's going to be in fear. You're going to wish, whatever time you were in at that point, you're going to wish you were in the morning or the night, somewhere other than where you were at that point. Right? So I'm going to go back down, and I want to grab one of these verses again. Let's go here. Um, here we go. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee. So every curse that I named, are they're all gonna come upon you, and shall pursue us and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. So these are all gonna be on. All these curses are gonna be on us until we're destroyed. Again, that shot collar I told you about. Yes, those are the curses. They're gonna be us on us until we are destroyed. Right? Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. So all these are going to be because all we didn't want to keep the commandments. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So again, if I need a sign for something, I'm going to look at it and it's going to, show me what I'm going to do next. If somebody wants to go to, McDonald's, or somebody wants some food, you got the McDonald's sign. That's the sign that you look at if you want to get food. If you're thirsty, you want water, you look at the sign, and it'll tell you things. So it says it'll be a sign and a wonder, and upon I see forever. This thing is going to happen forever and continuously. So these are the signs that are going to happen to us, and are going to be put up upon our seeds forever. So let's go down. Let's go down to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. So when you go into the word Egypt, let's go. Let's go into the account. Let's go into Exodus chapter 20 and 2, and it says this: I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So the word Egypt is synonymous with the word bondage. The word Egypt, that's really a Greek word, but it goes back to the word, Kemet or Mitzrayim, or even before that, Matazarium, which means double straits, a rock in a hard place, bondage. So let's go back to it. Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. So back into bondage again with ships. By the way whereof I speak unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. I mean, you're not going to see your homeland again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. So you're going to be sold back into slavery again with ships. And you be sold into your enemies for slave men and slave women, and no man shall buy you, meaning no one's going to redeem you. The word for buy in this is redeem, or to bring out of. All right. So again, these are pretty much the curses, and these are going to be a sign upon the Israelites, for a sign and for a wonder and forever. Again, so these are something that you would go through and look at. Like I said, McDonald's, that's a sign. If you're hungry, you go to McDonald's. You look at the sign to eat. If you're about to go to, if you want to know which bathroom to go into, it shows you. You have a woman with a skirt, a bald headed woman with a skirt. You have a man standing there without a skirt on. And you know if you're a man to go into that one. And if you're a woman, you go to the one with the dress. These are signs. And the curses are a sign for the Israelites forever. So why would they have to be a sign on the Israelites and upon their seed forever. Why would that have to be a sign to wonder? Because it tells you you're gonna go into all you're gonna have to go into captivity into all nations. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 4, it's like 17 and 4. All right. And it says, and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. So the Israelites are going to have to discontinue from their heritage. That's why the signs and the wonders are the curses, because they're going to have to remember who they are. Right? So in and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. It's the same thing all over again. So the Lord is going to cause us to serve our enemies in the land which we don't know. It sounds it's emphatically talking about the so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics. So we're going to have to serve our enemies in the land which we know not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. We kindled a fire in the Lord, which shall burn forever, because we didn't keep the commandments. Now look at it. Kill, steal, and destroy, man. Again, so we're going to have to discontinue our heritage. That's what the Lord said. That's why these signs are important. So I'm going to go, matter of fact, I'm just going to, right here, I'm going to go to the book of Baruch, it may be chapter 2. Chapter 2 and verse 30. All right, here we go. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 2 and verse 30. And it says this, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. So the Lord told us he knows that, we're stiff-necked people, man, but, you know, in the land of our captivities, because he's going to send us in, and we're going to discontinue our heritage, and we're going to worship other gods, wood and stone, and he's going to be a sign for us. Because in the land of our captivity, they shall remember themselves. How are they going to remember themselves in the land of their captivities? Because of the curses of the Bible. Because the Lord is going to scatter us among all nations. That's the point. I actually read the verse before that. Verse 29. If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. It's the same thing Deuteronomy is talking about. And then we're going to keep reading. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. So in the land of the captivities, the Israelites are going to remember who they were. That's the point. Because the Israelites are going to have to, remember themselves. Because they're going to go into captivity into all nations. They're going to discontinue their heritage. And these are going to be a sign for the Israelites. The Lord didn't tell you that, you're going to, search your genealogy. You're going to, you know, do these things and stuff like that. Like, no, man, you're going to lose your identity. All right. So let's go back. Let's actually go to, let's go to the book of Romans. Because the Lord knew that, we're going to have to remember ourselves. And, we weren't going to have our genealogies and, search, for the majesty of our fathers, because we're going to lose our identity. It'd be much simple, but, we discontinued our heritage. We took the name of our oppressors. You know what I'm saying? That's why, a lot of brothers, they got last name of Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Johansson, all these different names, Peterson, just all white men names. These are look up your last name, and it's gonna go back to a so-called white man. All right, so let's go to verse 8. Let's go to chapter 8. Romans chapter 8 and verse 15. And we can read the 16. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption. So the Israelites, we're going to have to be adopted back into things. Why? Because we fell off. We went into captivity. All right. Whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Now listen to this part, verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. So the Spirit bears witness with your spirit that you're the child of God. So what is the Spirit that has to bear witness with our spirit? Let's see. Let's go to John chapter 6 and 63. All right, here we go. This is the book of John chapter 6 and 63. And it says, it is the Spirit that quickeneth. The quicken means to raise up, to bring alive. The flesh profit is nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are truth. So the words of the Lord spoke unto us, these words in the Bible, they're spirit and they're truth. So that's the spirit that has to bear witness with our spirit. It doesn't Christ say he comes in the volume of the book? So again, like it's the Bible the Bible is what we it's pretty much the proof. Because the spirit, which is the Bible, has to bear witness with our spirit. That's the same thing as, us going to the curses and realizing that we're the children of God. But let's go to Hebrews chapter 10 and 7. Look at Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 7. Then I said, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do the will, O God. So the Lord, you know what I'm saying, he comes in the volume of the book. And we're going to keep reading. Now we can go into the book. We can go back to Romans. We can go to chapter 15 and 4. So it's the book of Romans, chapter 15 and 4, and it says, For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So everything aforetime was written for our own understanding. So everything we read throughout the Bible, this is all us remembering who we are. Because this is the spirit, this is our spirit bearing witness with the Bible. The white man's spirit can't bear witness with the Bible. That's why our people, when we read, accounts and them being in Israelites being in slavery and in bondage, you kind of tear up in this thing. You kind of be like, oh man, that's why do our people go crazy in the churches everywhere we go? We have the most lit churches, and now that's because we have the zeal of God, just not according to understanding. You know what I'm saying? But again, because we understand, we feel the Bible. We actually, it bears witness with our spirit. We know, but we don't know that the Bible is talking about us. That makes sense. So I'm gonna read that again. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So again, man, it's the same thing, man. It's like we everything was written for our understanding because we're gonna forget who we were. But let me get that Romans chapter 10, that we have a zeal for God is not according to understanding. All right, so this is Romans chapter 10 and 2. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. So we have a zeal. A lot of our people have a zeal of God. We love God. We'll do all that. We'll cry. We'll pass out on the floor. We'll do all these things. We have a zeal for God, just not according to knowledge, not according to the scriptures, knowledge in the scriptures. Let's keep reading. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. So yeah, people can read the Bible and think that they, oh, I got my own righteousness, I got my own relationship with God. I can do this and that. I'm righteous and not keep the commandments at all. And think they got their own thing. So yeah, we have a zeal. We think we know what's going on, but we don't. Just we don't have a zeal core to knowledge. All right. So again, I'm gonna go to Romans chapter 9. Let me stay in Romans for one more verse. All right. Uh, all right. This is Romans chapter 9 and verse 3. For I could wish that myself were cursed from Christ, for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh. So the Israelites, according to the flesh, these are fleshly people. Like his brethren are Israelites according to the flesh. There's no spiritual Israel. There's none of that. That doesn't make sense. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So the Israelites pertain the adoption. A lot of people say, oh, the Gentiles are going to be adopted back in. No, the Israelites have to be adopted back in because they're going to lose their identity. Right? Who are Israelites to whom pertains the adoption and the glory of the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. So the Israelites, this is who he's talking about. Who are the fathers of whom as concerning the flesh Christ came, who is over all, God bless forever. So this is talking about the Israelites. That's who pertains to something pertains to somebody, it belongs to them. The adoption pertains to us, to the Israelites, according to the Bible. All right. So I like to go to the book of Iraq, because again, the Spirit has to bear witness, and that we're the children of God, and the Spirit is the Bible. So let's go to the book of Iraq, chapter 33 and 2 and 3. All right. So this is the book of Ecclesiastes, which is Iraq, chapter 33 and 2. A wise man hateth not the law, but he that is an hypocrite therein is a ship in a storm. So man is a hypocrite, man. He's just bound to fall over, man. Fall over. Verse 3. A man of understanding trusteth in the law. What is the law? The first five books of Moses is the law. Deuteronomy is a part of the law. So keep that in mind. Understand the law. And the law is faithful unto him as an oracle. What is an oracle? An oracle is something that gives you answers. In the Matrix, when Neo went to go speak to the woman that was called the Oracle, she gave him answers that he needed answers. He went to her. If you have understanding, you trust in the law. The law is your oracle. So the first five books of Moses is your oracle. That's what the Lord says. The first that's what's gonna give you. That's what's gonna tell you what you need to do next. That's what's gonna tell you who you are. And what's in the law? The curses are in the law. That's our oracle. I'm gonna give you an example of what an oracle does. So I'm gonna go back because I like the way the regular goes. All right, let's go to the book of Ezra, chapter 2, and let's go all the way to 61. All right, here we go. So this is the book of Ezra, chapter 2, verse 61. And of the children of the priests, the children of Habai, the children of Kaz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite, and was called after their name. So this obviously is going to the priests, and going to the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite, who was called after their name. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy. So genealogy is pretty much a lineage, throughout, pretty much your father's lineage. That's how the Bible does it. So I'm gonna give you an example of that. Okay, it's Numbers chapter 1 and 18. So, in ancient times, same as now, but um, search for who somebody where they came from, you would go through the lineage of their fathers. That's why in Matthew 1 it goes through all men, the lineage through an all male lineage to get to find Christ. It's a lineage of men. It's the seed of the Father. That's why they call Christ the seed of David. It's a seed line, right? Even the word for seed in the Greek is sperma, which we all know what that is. All right, so let's go to Numbers chapter 1 and 18. It says this. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. So your pedigree is like you heard the food, dog food pedigree, because your stock comes from your father. That's what the Bible says. So the Bible says they declared their pedigrees after their families, obviously, by the house of their fathers. So your father's pedigree is how you determine who you are, according to the Bible. So according to the number of the names, from 20 years up old and upward by their post. So again, bro, it's just going over the seed line of your fathers. So if your father isn't an Israelite, then you're not an Israelite. If your father is an Israelite, then you are an Israelite. All right. So let's go back to Ezra, chapter 2, yep, 61. All right. And okay, so 62. These sought their register, again, the genealogy through their fathers, among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found. So they went to they couldn't find who their pops were. They couldn't find how it led to who. They couldn't find out who they were. Therefore they were therefore were they as polluted, put from the priesthood. And these are Levites. So they were put from the priesthood because they couldn't find out their genealogy by the house of their father. This is an important thing to know your genealogy is according to the Hebrew tradition in the Bible. All right. So they were put from the priesthood and kind of as being polluted. All right, verse 63. In the Tershita said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy things, so they won't be able to eat the most holy things, till there stood to be priests with Urim and Thummim. So they couldn't eat of the most holy things until the priest came out with Urim and Thummim. And the Urim and Thummim is the oracles, was the oracle of the Lord that helped that was going to come out and help prove that they were, you know, Israelites. They're going to prove that they were Levites. So the law is our Urim and Thummim, because just like these Levites, we lost our identity. We couldn't. Well, what did it say? We sought our register, reckoned by gene, and we can't find it. So what do? We go to our Urim and Thummim, which is the law. The Urim and Thummim was an oracle, just like that's an oracle. So the Lord tells us to go back to the law to find out who we are, because obviously we discontinue our heritage. And there's no point. We can't go through a whole bunch of different you know genealogies and all these other things and all that stuff. Like we can't do that, and it's impossible for us to do because we lost our identity. There's no way we can go back and go all the way back to white man, and if we continue to go back to the name that the white man gave us, it's going to lead us to more white people. We're not going to go back to our old ancient names. It's impossible. And the Lord made it that way so that we can come back to the Bible and trust in the Bible. All right, so I want to go to First Timothy chapter 1 and verse 4. This is the book of First Timothy. Uh, am I there? Hold up. Yeah, Jesus refusing to. Matter of fact, let me go to. I'm thinking of Titus. That's what I'm thinking of. Titus chapter 3 and 7. 3 and 9. What's 3 and 7? Okay, here we go. This is the book of Titus, chapter 3 and 9. But avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. So look, bro, like we can't be, going into, worrying about genealogies and contentions and strivings. Like, look, the Lord already told us. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna try to find that one because I like the way the other one broke it down. Okay, here we go. I must have clicked on the wrong one. All right, so here we go. This is First Timothy chapter 1 and 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies. That's the point, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do. So instead of worrying about endless genealogies that brings too many questions and just, oh, well, could I came from him? Could I came from him? No, this is all, through the godly edifying, which is by faith, for us to have faith. That the Spirit bears witness with us. That's what the Lord wants us to do. He wants us to have faith. All right. So Lord willing, this was edifying. Call halal, which means to give all praise to Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, by Hashem, which means in the name of the Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I want to bid you a strong shalom, Lord willing. This is edifying. Shalom.